Well, welcome everybody back to What Does Danné Say? You know, for many, many years, I've been hoping this time would come. Several years ago, I inadvertently created the world's, and I hate that word, create. It's the only one that creates. I put together the world's first all medical silicone makeup foundation. And that's all I was interested in, because for a long, long time, a lot of doctors, advanced therapists in different countries would say, can't you come up with a makeup that we can put over our patients that are having acne treatments, hyperpigmentation, et cetera, et cetera. And all that was available then to doctors' offices was Dermablend, which actually is okay, but it didn't fit in with our particular concept of cellular activity. And I just didn't pay any attention to any of these. I thought, okay, water-based, well, that didn't have any coverage. Oil-based, oh, that attracts bacteria. You can't use it for acne. I just didn't do anything until I was in a nanotech lab outside of Beijing, China. It's a lab that's funded by the Chinese government, and it's headed by Dr. MUA. And he liked me because I had crazy ideas. I would... Well, just to paraphrase what really is the case there, traditionally the Chinese people, scientists, and that are really good during their education period. They're great students, they work hard, they excel at exams, extremely bright and cognitive about everything scientific, but when they get out of university, they're kind of in this box. They're really not allowed too much to think outside of the box. That kind of segues over to this country too, but that's another story. But anyway, here comes the crazy American with ideas that they can use. And it was a fair exchange because they would give me all kinds of research data in return for my ideas. So it was a quid pro quo, whatever you call it, quo pro, for both of us. So anyway, long story short, I was over there on one occasion and they were working with this silicone sheets that were very hyper thin, and they were using it to cover over burn victims, things like that. It's kind of like an occlusion. The nice thing about silicone of that quality, of that grade, it does resist bacteria, and that's why they were using it. And so when they were describing all this to me, my mind's going, resist bacteria, cover up, whatever. So at the end of that particular meeting, I asked Dr. Y if he could give me a jar of the silicone powder. And he said, sure. And so I kind of scarily brought it through customs. What's this white powder in your suitcase? Got it through customs, and I took it to one of the top cosmetic formulators of all time, a woman named Rose Dinha. Rose was the original developer of Mud, MAC, Joe Blasco, all of these companies. She was the one that came up with the actual formulations and production details and so on and so forth. So I took it over to her, and she goes, what do you exactly want me to do with this powder? I says, I'd like you to make it into a cream base with no oil or waxes. And she goes, that can't be done. And I go, why not? And she goes, because all makeup, which is oil-based for women or whoever, is cooked at 84 degrees Fahrenheit. And the minute she said that, this is how I think, I knew. That's why my grandma, my mom, the sisters, women I've known for years, are always going into the ladies' room powdering down in an evening of wearing makeup because it gets shiny, because it melts at their body temperature. 84 degrees Fahrenheit production, what are we, 96.8, whatever. It melts. Simple as that. So ostensibly, this could not be created. And I said, well, how high can you get that cooker or whatever you call it? Well, it can go up to 300 degrees, but we've never done that. And I just said, please try. And she goes, well, you're pretty aggressive, Danné. I've heard that about you. So, okay, I'll try, but I can't guarantee anything. Week later, get a call. You got a cream. It's a weird cream, but you got a cream. I didn't realize at that time folks that this was the first time that's ever been done in the world. And the cream was weird because most oil-based foundation creams come out of the dispenser, and there's this conveyor belt with the containers, and it's a nice liquidy type thing that goes into the container, then is pushed through a cooling tube, and it hardens up to its consistency of foundation, and so on. This came to like poop from a chicken. Plop. We actually have a video of these gals working on the conveyor line, you know, going tap, 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 le cucaracha, le cucaracha, you know, tapping all these containers to flatten out the silicone foundation so it would fit into the container. So anyway, long story short, we hired a top makeup developer, Tommy Parsons, and we had carte blanche to do anything we wanted. That was kind of a neat feeling because all the stuff that people complained about over the years about makeup, we could correct. The pigmentation, coverage. Coverage is all about pigmentation. We had 43% pigmentation in the lighter shades and 57% for the darker skin shades. Okay, that is unbelievable coverage right there. Some of the top makeup brands that claim coverage, 15%, 20%. Now, these are simple facts. I also added a kind of, I don't know how to describe this. It's little molecular size pieces of, we call it nylon 12. And they're kind of like little tiny microscopic diamonds, and they bounce light away from skin. So this is why it got so popular and still is in the makeup or in the movie industry and television industry. Our first big client was Dancing with the Stars. And I actually went on set one time, fascinating. A friend of mine was the head cameraman, and watched the makeup artists. And they're all standing around with their little hip bags on with their makeup. And the dancers come out, and they usually are sweating heavily, and they have to be touched up. All the ones that had the DMK on it, I watched the makeup artist walk up and, nope, you don't need anything, because it didn't move. Did not move under any kind. And then later we had men using it as a color corrector or as an acne coverage, do sports with it, and they would sweat all over, but this makeup did not move. A lot of entertainers told us the same thing that did Vegas shows and that they'd get sweaty under the lights and that, but it didn't move. And if they did get shiny, all they had to do is pick up a piece of tissue or rice paper, blot, and the makeup was still there. It was their own sudoriferous secretion, their sebaceous oil that did the shine. That's normal. That's blotted away, makeup was still there. It did not clog anything. Now, we've already established the bacterial resistance of it, which is great for acne. But what about full-blown acne? Wouldn't clog the pores. No. Think of a volcano being the pore, ready to erupt, and the makeup being a ping pong ball on top of the volcano. Just falls to the side, and the skin respirates naturally like it's meant to do. So this was like almost a little miracle that was underrated by everybody. I was thinking of the doctor and the esthetician, not the makeup artist. And yet the makeup artist is where it ended up in professional use, okay? I produced a movie called Maybelline Prince. We used it exclusively in that movie. It makes everybody look 10 years younger because of that light bouncing effect, including myself. I have it on now. You should see me without this. I look like an 81-year-old. No, not really, but anyway, every trick in the book, So that's the background of the foundation itself. That's what makes the unique properties of it. Now, we're going to show a video of DeAndré Michael. DeAndré Michael, you can Google him, is one of the top makeup artists in the world. I've never seen anybody like him, and I've dealt with all of them over the years. Way Bandy, way back in the 80s, Kevin Aucoin. I've seen them all, worked with them all, Joe Blasco. They're all very talented, very good people, but DeAndré has something special. Now, he's been the personal makeup artist for every movie and for all television shows of Angela Bassett. He's brought the incredible Miss Bassett here to headquarters for treatments. She's absolutely lovely, dignified, highly intelligent woman that's loaded with talent. He'd bring her in. He works on Let Us Say. He works on Mary J. Blige. All the big stars depend on DeAndre's skill because he makes you look real. You look glamorous, wonderful, but you look real. He just has this funny. For one thing, he does a complete eye makeup and then puts on the foundation. Now, I'm not a bad makeup person myself. I never went into it as a career, but just have a natural affinity to it. I never would have thought of that. I mean, he really knows what he's doing. So we had him do a tutorial for us, promotional video. I've never seen it. Yet, so I'm going to watch it now, make comments as we go along. So let's play the video.
Hi, I'm DeAndré Michael, celebrity makeup artist here in Los Angeles, California. I have been doing makeup for 28 years now. I've worked with celebrities, singers, actors, models, cosmetic lines, you name it. But today I am here with DMK Cosmetics, and we are here to introduce the new full-face compact quad clinical cosmetics made with medical-grade silicone. This has never been done before. It resists bacteria, lasts all day, doesn't have oils. It's minimal touch-up. So let's get started. We have 5 different compacts, so I am looking for the compact that is going to match her skin best. There's a tawny, taupe, ivory, ebony, and a golden. So I'm going to go with the ivory full face compact. So I'm going to start with using the citrine and shell as my cover-up concealer. So just some redness I'm going to cover up.
All right, that could be also used as the word neutralizer. Just a little side tip on that. For instance, if you're dealing with hyperpigmentation or a dark red hyperpigmentation, think of what cancels out certain tones in light, okay? So we're looking at somebody that has a big red-brown spot on it. We put our yellow-green, I forget the name on the compact, but the yellow-green one, and immediately it cancels out the red rays of the light to the person looking at that other person with that problem. We set it with our micro powder, no talc. Focus on no talc. It's just finely ground silicone. It has different tones to it, of course, according to the ethnicity, our color tone. But we set that with the powder. Now, we don't need powder for this for the whole face. We talked about that earlier, about the shine factor and that. But this is used just to set that in that one spot. And then we go over the whole face with the actual tone of the skin that we've selected.
I use the palette and the spatula, and I'm going to use the bisque and the citrine as my concealer and cover-up. She doesn't have a lot of things to cover up, but I'm going to cover up some discoloration on her neck. I'm using a brush. Sometimes let's put it to pat and then try to blend out your edges. Get to become an artist.
So then this palette can take you through every season.
Yes.
So it's your tan.
Your tan, your winter color.
Yeah, so you only need one, really.
Yes, your winter color, your summer color. I like to use a brush, and
Okay, I insisted on that artist palette, stainless steel palette, for 2 reasons. Number one, it's convenient to mix colors on. You can do a whole range. And by the way, if you make too much of one color, as most of the makeup artists found out, you can just put a plastic over it, cling film or whatever, and put it in the drawer and use the rest of it later. I make up my own shade, exactly as DeAndre's doing with the palette knife. I mix up my own tan shade, and I just keep it in the drawer with plastic over it. It won't get bad. It won't attract bacteria. It won't get rotten or anything, okay, like oil-based makeups will. But that's what he means here. These palettes allow you to custom make your own color. Now, some people match what's there, automatic. Others, they can fine tune it, bring in more red tones, bring in more green, whatever.
Brush and pat just to blend. That way you can build more. Since it's buildable coverage, do a little under eyes. This formulation has never been done before. It's made from medical grade silicone and no oils. And it doesn't attract bacteria. It resists bacteria, so it can be used over. So if you use a still palette, you can cover it and use it again. Sweat-proof, waterproof, and looks like skin on camera and in broad daylight. Also with this formula, there's minimal touch-ups, so it lasts all day. There's no need to repowder or reapply more foundation, so it withstands a lot of heat and body heat It lasts hours and hours. I think I worked 19 hours on set and it withstands the test of time. So I'm a believer.
Would you ever have somebody, when they're putting it on themselves, use their fingers?
You're comfortable with that?
Okay. I love makeup, but I'm just lazy and my hands are quicker. So if this product is workable with your hands.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think about that too. For fine detail work, of course, our brushes we call them the forever brush, and there's no other brush on the market like this. First of all, the hair is from raccoon in India. They don't kill the animal, not because of any religious thing, although that sometimes people think of that, but our animal cruelty, they just know they can get another crop off that tail, so it's financial. And then it's sent to England, where it's put into our brass handles. These handles will never break, they'll never chip, they'll never go off, they'll outlast everybody that owns them, which is kind of a grim thought when you think about it. The glue, the fixative, is Dow Corning. It's a special fixative that's resistant to any solvent you can even think of. So it's a forever brush. And another thing about it, too, is most brush companies, they put the animal hair in and then they trim it according, to whatever style brush it is. We don't do that. The ends of the hairs are the natural ends of the hairs. That's how it's put together. So the way he's doing it now is the preferred way, but I use my hands once in a while. If I'm in a big hurry, so what? But professionally, I wouldn't recommend that. It's better to fine tune with our various brushes that were designed for that particular job on the skin. It's not just to have a brush set.
Also, this formula can be used on all types of skin conditions like inflammation, acne, without worrying about getting more breakouts. Since you don't have to be a professional to use this makeup, it's like I would recommend using like the DMK foundation brush, DMK small foundation brush. You can use a sponge, and if you have oily skin, you can use the DMK setting powder. Powder's not necessary.
Okay, the sponge you mentioned, I'm just going to quickly jump in on this because I spent a lot of time with this damn sponge. At first, we used the wedges. We still have those, but I always like the egg sponge. And I was looking for a non-latex, a special type of sponge that you can throw into the wash machine with your clothes. And they last forever. Eventually, they do start to break down. But they're shaped like an egg, so you have the broad point to put the main foundation on, and then the fine point to go into the corners. And that's how I apply it most of the time. If I'm coming on set and doing a video like I'm doing today, I'll do the different little shadings in that with the brush because you can really get in there and control it.
But if you're one that wants, if you have oily skin or you want it to be matter, you could use setting powder for even better result. And it's all botanical ingredients, so you have no irritation, no reactions, so you can use it on all skin conditions.
If I overdo it, which I know is easy to do with these because they're so pigmented, just blend it out more with a brush, grab a
blend it out with a brush or
sponge.
Finger user.
Is it buildable?
It's buildable coverage. So when you're building coverage, you want to do more patting and blending than wiping. I like brushes when you want to do more of a minimal look because the sponge can apply a lot. If you don't know how to blend out with it, it's better to use a brush, and that way you can do more blending. And guys love this too.
Yeah.
Especially since it's like the formula, it doesn't come across like foundation, so they're real comfortable with it on. So I am going to apply the foundation, and there's two different color foundation, the darkest one and the lightest one. So you can mix and blend it to match your exact skin tone. I would recommend buying all 5 palettes, and that way, if one palette doesn't work, use them all. Contour and highlight, sculpt, cover, and
what he's saying there is true, and that's one of the nice factors about the foundation is the base foundation is the same all across the board. Only the colors make it different, okay? So this allows you at home or the professional, the esthetician, to actually custom blend using any of the palettes on that stainless steel artist palette. The word palette is applied in all cases.
And conceal all in one palette. Now I'm going to apply foundation with the DMK foundation brush. Again, I'm using the DMK metal palette and the spatula. So all the product that you don't use, you can cover it with like an artist paper or something that waxy on one side. Just cover it and reuse it since it doesn't attract bacteria and it resists bacteria. And the full face compacts are great because with the lighter and the darker foundation, you're able to create the colors in between. And again, like when applying, I'd say pat and just kind of lightly brush. In terms of matching, I would say a lot of people wear sunscreen, so sometimes the face is going to be lighter than the lower part of her body. So I'd say get it.
Speaking of sunscreen, now, common sense says if you've got this much pigmentation with this kind of base, there is a certain amount of protection from sun. Now, we can't claim that. We can't attach an SPF because that opens up a whole big can of worms with regulatory boards in Europe and everywhere else. I mean, it's weird about sunscreens. So we don't say anything, but just common sense tells you that there is a certain amount of protection for that, although it does flow very well over any of the DMK sunscreens.
As close to the neck as possible, opposed to matching it to the face, because then you'll have a lighter face, darker body. So I'd say look for the neck to match it to and get it as close as possible to the neck, because when people wear sunscreen, they tend to be lighter in the face. So this palette is perfect for after treatment. You know, you have a little redness or you've been dealing with some skin conditions, and you can continue to like build your coverage as you want it and see how flawlessly that covers without looking overdone. And everybody has a camera, you always want to be ready.
So true.
A lot of people, like until I started using it a lot, like especially all the makeup artists on our show, I would use it and it's like, I saw that, but I tried it and don't know how to use it. And then once I showed them how to apply it, they were like, oh, wow. Now everybody is stuck on it and love it. And with this formula, it contains 47 to 53% pigment, where most foundations contain like 3%. So that's why you're able to get the coverage you need, and it's so not a lot that looks like a lot of makeup. And that's why a lot of people apply a lot of other foundations, ends up looking like a mask. The formula is botanical based, so there's less chance of reactions, like skin reactions, like breakouts.
The word botanical based, another word that's overused in the industry, which really means plants or something from earth. Now, silicone is one of the most abundant natural resources on the planet. Think about it. When you walk on the beach, on the sand with bare feet, you're walking on silicone. When you're walking on grass, you're walking on silica. All of it is a natural thing. So the use of the word botanical is kind of used loosely here because it's so common. Oh, botanical. It's like you go into the store with the gluten-free thing. I mean, it was to the point of ridiculous. You'd see watermelons, gluten-free. Things that you know have nothing to do with wheat or anything else, gluten-free, like, oh, it must be good then, I'll start eating that. Same thing, words are overused. So botanic's fine, but what we're really talking about is a natural resource on the planet, which silicone is.
Redness, inflammation, irritation. So I work with lots of models, actors, singers. Angela Bassett mostly, who's like one of my top clients that I've been with since 1999. I've been doing makeup now for 28 years. So I've seen all the foundations, I've seen all the powders, all the cosmetics. And once I find something, I kind of stick to it because I'm a creature of habit. And when it comes to foundation, I'm extremely picky. And I've been using DMK now for almost 6 or 7 years. Tried and tested on film, television, photo shoots, live, in person. So never got a complaint. And I always get calls from other makeup artists that's like, what are you using? Because her skin looks like skin. And I have to break down and tell them sometimes because I can't take it all to the grave, right? Now I'm going to do some highlighting and sculpting using the same palette. So I am going to use this Citron again in bisque color on the stainless steel palette. So this is going to be my highlight. So you want to highlight eyes, cheekbones, chin here, like to here on the upper lip here, forehead. Then I'll use the darker color, which is Sun-Kissed, as my contour which we can use to put her natural contours back in her face. There's really no rules of makeup. We can say there are mistakes, but a lot of people misuse of it or abuse of different makeup or different techniques. Don't follow a lot of like trendy things online, like what do you call that? Sunscreen contouring, where people would put sunscreen in areas that they want to highlight and let the other parts of the face darken, and which causes like, a risk of like skin cancer. There is a color here that you can use as a blush. You can just add color in your face. You can use a blush on your lids or your lip on your cheek. You can put it on as your preference, because a lot of people like a lot of blush. Some people like a little blush.
Thing about blush is it's commonly used by people as a contour. It's not a contour. Blush connotates amount of blood that's in the skin. Think of young skin, children with rosy cheeks, even boys with red lips. I notice that's becoming a trend. Remember, the word trend means temporary. It's becoming a trend on male actors. Sometimes it looks like they have lipstick on. It's almost insane, because youth is blooming with blood. So blush is blush. And if you notice that on the young model, he put it right here instead of trying to make like racing, tracks in the face like drag queens and a lot of people have done over the years. They just get to, and they don't even blend it in. The word blush means blood or health of skin, and that's exactly what he's done with this young model.
You can do a little blush color. Doesn't overdo, not offensive. As I said before, in terms of like the palettes, it comes in 5 different palettes. So it allows you, an artist or person that's buying them, to use like every shade and every undertone due to the color spectrum, since it does come in 5 palettes. That color spectrum is tawny, taupe, ivory, golden, and ebony. You will be able to use all shades to cover all the undertones you need. And I would recommend you have your client get 2 of the palettes, because you have your winter color, you have your summer color. I noticed with a lot of clients, I've always had to recommend 2 different foundations, or I give them 2 different concealers. That way, in the wintertime, when there is not that much sun, they have that covered. And then when there is sun, you have that covered as well. So that's if you have your client that just wants something clean, basic, want to set this so it lasts longer for the hot day, or you want it more matte looking. You can take the DMK HD loose setting powder. So the HD loose.
The word HD is another marketing, well, I won't say it on camera. It's something that cows do, our bulls do. High definition means simply, what does the camera see? It has nothing to do with the product at all. The high definition camera is not very forgiving, especially to people that are aging, and I know this personally. I can tell from videos I've done back in the 80s, and of course I was younger then too, but videos now, every detail is revealed. So when you slam the word HD on a product, that means it circumvents what the camera can see. And again, this is why this is so popular in film and on television series, is because it somehow defies HD. So that's why we call it HD. It seems to bounce light away from wrinkles and hyperpigmentation and all kinds of things. And the coverage alone, people just have a younger appearance. And in fact, some studios even did light tests and everything. They couldn't figure out what was going on here. So that's what HD really means. Keep that in mind when you see products advertised as HD, as if the product themselves were something special. No, it's what the camera sees.
Setting that, and let's go to a little here. Set it. You only want to cover it. You only want to set it with the DMK loose setting powder. Due to its formulation, you don't want to risk it having any reactions to any other formulas. Cool. Next, we're going to apply the DMK Cosmetics lipstick. We're going to go with the Sensual Nude. It contains polymer 1947 and pomegranate oil, which keeps the lips hydrated.
All right, I have to jump in on this. This is really good. This is actually the first time I've seen this video, and normally DeAndré is very soft-spoken and quiet. I've never heard him talk so succinctly. My God, I have to call him up and compliment him. Years and years ago, I was thinking of lipstick that would retain or attract moisture and hold color in place, because all women will tell you with regular lipsticks, they get these funny crusts and dead skin in the back of it and everything. They're picking it, and I wanted to know what kind of oil could we use. And the scientist I was talking to, he's passed away, God rest his soul, said, well, pomegranate oil not only will stain slightly color to the skin, but it'll be a natural humectant. All they'll have to do is go lick their lips, because saliva basically has water, and they rehumectified their lips. Plus, it won't move that much. So that's what we did with this particular lipstick. And then that polymer is an oil-based polymer that really holds things in place. It was used for other things, but when I found out about it, I thought this will work in this lipstick, and it did. There's one downside to this particular lipstick, because there's no real big waxes or anything else in it. When you open it up, don't open it all the way, because it could fall off. That's the only thing we haven't been able to address, but we would have to add other waxes and things to do that, and I'm just simply not going to do that. So you just put out enough to apply, and it'll stay on for hours and hours, even a couple of days, if you want to be honest about it, okay? I have a lot of little jokes about this lipstick and its longevity on people.
So you don't get that crusty lips on the sides that everybody knows they're gonna know. You're not using DMK because you have crusty lips. Have some really great colors in the lipsticks, which kind of goes with all like skin tones. And if you want a night out with a red, you got a red. You're gonna have your coral. I like nude lips. Another little secret tip I like to do after I powder using the DMK HD loose setting powder. I like to take the Urban Mineral Mist. You just gotta sway over. Takes away your powdered look and puts you back to your skin thing. So I'm gonna do a natural little fun, clean, smoky eye that you can do during the day. So I'm just gonna color wash the lid of it. I still use the DMK brushes, even though it's a corrective brush. It has a good size and it has a little fluff where you can blend and you can build on your coverage still. Your smoky eye is a when in doubt.
Love it.
If you have time to play, you're like, just do a little smoky eye. And you can smoke with all colors. Most people think you have to do the smoky eye, but just flat. I'm gonna take this small corrector and use darker color and go right along the lash line.
Oh gosh, that's gorgeous.
Well, I would have used Cinema Red, or what was the other red? I have two reds. One is a gold base, one is a blue-red base. These are things that I knew were basic way back when we were doing the color palettes. I was not going to go along with popularity or trend. We stayed with classic colors that I knew women would always use. So we have the two reds. There was the Cinema Red, and I forget the other one. What was the other one? Iconic Red. That's right. Okay. One of them has a gold base, and the other one has the blue base. It just depends upon your skin tone. I did a nude. I didn't think that nude would be so damn popular, but it is. To me, it's kind of boring, but I would recommend using the nude as a highlight. If you have the thinner lower lip or upper lip, and you filled it out by lining your lips first, just to increase the vermilion border, then you take the nude and just put it to give a highlight effect to a darker lipstick. Then there is I'm trying to remember all the names. There's the pink, which is a real pink. Now, a lot of people said, well, that won't stay around a long time. But guess what? It has. Pink Parfait, Sensual Nude, Coral Sun, and then there's one more. It was Sheer Vino. I can't remember my own names. And they've changed a lot of names from these colors from the beginning anyway. I had to name everything, but marketing comes along and you distance yourself from the project because it's already done and people change names around, so that's what we're dealing with today. Now, the last thing about this, and I'm very emphatic on this, more than you might possibly think, You do not have to be a makeup artist to use these products. Yes, it is popular for all the reasons you just saw with DeAndré Michael. Let's go back to the real reason I even did this product. I didn't do it for the studios. I didn't do it for the television people. I didn't do it for Dancing with the Stars or for Angela Bassett, who won't wear anything else now. I didn't have them in mind. I had the esthetician in mind. Let's assume somebody's coming in first time to your clinic that has acne rosacea, not acne rosacea because they're two different things, but acne or rosacea or hyperpigmentation, male, female, young, old, it doesn't matter. What they're really interested in, number one, is getting rid of this, which you will do and have done, but they want to look good in between. Good example, we had a very wealthy Indian woman come into our clinic in London several years ago. It was number 1 Harley Street. The clinic is still there. And she was getting married to an Occidental man. So she was marrying out of her race and everything else. But she was very wealthy, very powerful. He was wealthy too. But she went and had a Fraxel done. Now, you don't do those kind of treatments on deeper toned skins, okay? And she ended up with a massive amount of hyperpigmentation. And I heard about it, so they made an appointment with me. They seem to always want to bring me the worst cases in the world whenever I visit these countries. And so she came in. She's wearing very thick makeup. I said, well, you don't look that bad. She goes, wait till you see. Well, when the esthetician took it off, I could see it was horrible. And I could understand. She was actually canceling her wedding and everything. And I said, it's going to take a year to get rid of this. And she says, well, I don't have a year for this wedding. I says, well, this is what we can do. And so I did the DMKC with the neutralizer and matched the color, everything. And when she looked in the mirror, she goes, oh, saw. And she re-engaged her wedding plans, everything else, and her life literally was changed. Okay, this is only one instant. And this had nothing to do with makeup artists. So if you're an esthetician that's not particularly into makeup, it doesn't matter. You lay your client down, particularly first-time clients, on the trolley. You do the treatment, and when you remove the enzyme mask, and you start putting the things back into the skin that's appropriate for that particular condition, you have already quietly color matched them. Okay, and then you start applying the foundation, both from the concealer point of view on those special dark spots, acne, pustules, etc. And then you apply their skin tone overall into the neck and décolleté, exactly as DeAndré showed. And you don't say anything to them. They feel like you're just putting some products on their face. They're used to that. And so when they sit up and you hand them the mirror, and all of a sudden, because they're expecting to see what? After a facial or any kind of skin treatment, they're expecting to see redness or, where you've done evacuations and so on. That's normal. But instead, they're looking at this totally flawless facade of skin. All of their condition is camouflage and yet not creating any type of contraindication in the skin at all. There is an automatic sale of that product on the way out the door. Ain't no way they're not going to stop and say, I need to take that home. That is the real reason behind DMKC. I've preached this, I've screamed it, I've talked about it for years and years, and yet it just never seemed to really resonate. So now that we have these quads and we've got the new eyeshadow and eyeliners and so on, this is what you can do with your clients. Now, some of you are good at makeup, so you can actually book a separate session, do the foundation, show them how to use it. And there was one point talking about using the sponge, and I think it was Chelsea, the young lady, that said, what if you get too much on it? You just keep moving the sponge, just keep moving, and eventually it all blends in, okay? It takes very little because of the incredible amount of pigmentation in this foundation. So it is for the professional and for the home use. It's very easy to use. When you're dealing with young boys, as we found out from our people in London that did a big acne summit campaign at the Royal Academy of Medicine several years ago, they were all getting the foundation. but don't use the word makeup. Now, to be honest about this, these kids are stealing their mothers or their sisters' makeup on dates and things like that, trying to camouflage. I used Clarisol back in the 50s when I had that horrible bout of acne you might have heard about, because I put it on like makeup. But you say camouflage. This is your camouflage kit. And the guy will accept that, okay? And he will use it. Trust me. Once he sees what he can do, he will use that and keep coming back for more. Now, primer. Most makeup companies sell a primer. I really wasn't thinking that much about a primer. I was working on another project using spray silicone for sunscreen for little kids. That's a project that we were asked to do, and then it never came to fruition. But I noticed that the skin felt silky smooth, and so I put some foundation over it, and it was amazing. So if you're doing professional, you can do this at home too, but if you're working professionally on somebody, if you're a professional makeup artist, start with the primer. They will look flawless beyond belief. It gives a wonderful surface. It's called crème glacée. Crème glacée. It's a very important component of this. But, you can teach your clients, particularly women, how to use crème glacée at home too. It's very easy. There's a brush. You got it. Put it on, let it sit for a minute, and then the foundation goes on. It's the most silky, creamy way you can possibly think of, and still looks like natural skin. Okay, so until next time, keep your skin glowing, keep your skin healthy, keep your skin the way it's supposed to be in total homeostasis. And remember, the more you learn, the better you are, because knowledge really is power.